Well, we continue our Cuse Connections series, kind of checking in with everybody and what's going on during this coronavirus pandemic that has spread everybody and all the teams throughout the country and throughout the world. Brian Higgins here with our starting goalie, Drake Porter. And Drake, we say throughout the world. I'm assuming you're at home in Canada right now. Where are you at this moment?
I'm actually I'm at my girlfriend's house in Manlius, New York, so 20 minutes away. I was able to stick around. There's some stuff with like my visa. I didn't want to like risk it and go home, so I'm sticking around in Syracuse for a while.
Well, there you are. I sent you across the border, and you're right down the road from me right now.
Yeah.
That's kind of how it is right now. I mean, you are literally probably 10, 15 minutes where I'm sitting in my house right now. It's one of those things where I couldn't go over there if I wanted to. It's kind of a strange time right now.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't think I've left my house or this house, or at least like the vicinity in like 14 days. So
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. I'm sure you've been literally outside, but when's the last time you've been anywhere, be it, I don't know, to the grocery store or whatever in the last few weeks?
I think my girlfriend and I have gone grocery shopping, I think twice, and just like stocked up. Once when it was all starting to like go down, and I moved in here, and then one more time after that. But for the most part, we've been trying to stay in, do our part.
And I'd say that's probably a pretty normal story. That's the same thing going on here at my house. We loaded up last week, and hopefully don't need to do that again here for a little while. And it's strange times. Drake, the reason we have you on today is specifically a lacrosse reason because of the NCAA announcing that seniors will be allowed another year, and you'll be coming back next year. We'll get into that more, but I want to hit you on that just a little bit. That's maybe not as easy a decision as it sounds like, right? Where, okay, you're offered what would be for you a fifth year, but at the same time, hey, you got life plans, you got stuff going on. What was the balance like for you deciding to come back and give it another go next year?
Yeah, it was funny. Just where we were in the season and stuff. I was at the start of like January. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe this is it. Like, and then as time sort of went on, I started making more plans. I was talking to people. I'm looking to coach once I graduate. So I was talking to a couple coaches. And then all of a sudden the news hits, and then the NCAA came out with that statement saying we're likely to get a fifth year. And it was like, kind of like everything blew up. But then, obviously I was just happy that I was going to be able to get another year. But I mean, financially, I think is the toughest for everyone trying to make that decision, trying to figure out a graduate program that you can make work. There's like a million different prices for all these different programs. So it was definitely something to sort through. The good news is I had tons of time to sort through it because I had nothing else to do. So, but yeah, that was mainly the brunt of the decision. And I know some guys also, they had jobs lined up. So it's, hey, do I defer this for a year or tell them no thank you, or, stuff like that. It could be a tough call.
Yeah, I'd say most years, it's not just you or this year's group that you start talking to guys in March and April, and they're seniors. And yeah, they're talking about the Final Four and going on a run and all that. But then in June, they're going to New York City, a lot of them, and getting a job in the financial world or something like that. So that's got to be an interesting part of that, isn't it? Right, where this is not just the sports side of it. There is the school, and hey, a lot of people had the next stage of their real life lined up.
Yeah, exactly. It felt weird because what we were joking around about is like, as soon as we kind of all finally came to terms with the fact that this was our last season and we were going to be moving on and we were sort of mentally ready for it, it's like, boom, that week, everything got blown out. It turns out at least a few of us are coming back.
Personally, for you, am I right to say you were in Newhouse, right, as an advertising major?
Yeah.
Are you? I get obviously graduation, and the chancellor announced this week he hopes to do a convocation of some sort at some point in the fall. But you were on track to graduate and all that, so you have to figure out something else. So what at this point have you figured out about the next step in your academic career?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't locked anything down yet, but there's been a couple grad programs I've applied to or I'm planning to apply to. It's looking most likely there's intercollegiate athletic advising certificate, which would help me. It's a lot of words, but it would basically help me get a coaching visa down the road, be able to stay in America longer. So that's actually something that worked out really well for me once I found that program.
Let's hit on that. You mentioned visa, and obviously, hey, U.S. to Canada under normal circumstances, as long as you got, your license, passport, whatever the proper thing is. It's not that hard for an American to cross the border that way or this way. These times are different. So what's that been like for you and your family here? Where what do you, Drake? 4 hours from home, 4.5 hours from home, or you can't do that right now?
Yeah, I'm actually my family moved from Toronto a couple years ago, so I'm 2 hours away,
Okay.
my house. And the funny part is normally it's like no problem. They just pop down and pick me up. But then as we were finding out, maybe it's not as simple. I think right now, if I wanted to go home, my girlfriend could drop me at the border and I'd be allowed to cross, but she wouldn't be allowed to come with me. So she'd be handing me off, and where my family lives now is actually on one of the Thousand Islands, and the Wi-Fi is like super shoddy. So if I go home, there's a good chance I won't be able to do my online classes, which I can't imagine my professors being too stoked about. So I think we decided the best decision was to just stay here, stay put for a while.
I think, I mean, this is a half joke and then half not really, where the couple things that, you go to the stores and there's no toilet paper, where toilet paper or Wi-Fi, what do you choose? I think some people go Wi-Fi right now as their number one choice here.
No, for sure. Yeah. I mean, there's not much to do. You need a Wi-Fi right now. Good Wi-Fi.
How is the online learning stuff working? Well, what kind of stuff are you able to do for your classes right
Yeah, I mean, I'm not in any big lectures. I actually planned out my academics so that this senior spring would be like kind of not like easy, but easier, lighter. I didn't have to take as many courses, and it was sort of just finishing up the easier stuff. The idea was that I'd have more time to focus on lacrosse. Now I kind of wish I put more hard courses now because I'd be able to work on them. But in terms of the lectures and stuff, a ton actually hasn't changed. My classes, at least, the schedules have stayed the same. The Zoom lectures, you just listen, take notes, and to be honest with you, it's actually been kind of nice because you got a 9:30 class, you can wake up at 9:25. You don't have to get up early to walk there. So it's been nice for me. I've kind of liked it.
now? All right, so it works out. Hey, there's some ways that you mentioned it, the Wi-Fi, the connectivity, what we're doing right now, it makes this part of life a lot easier. As Drake Porter with us, and we're talking to you because you're coming back, and we're still waiting to hear from some of your other teammates. And this is tough because you guys, as the seniors and the fifth-year seniors especially, this had been a build, hadn't it, Drake, over the last 2, 3, 4 years to this point, where when it hits and you guys are literally number one in the country, that there's got to be the emotion of that side of things. And then, okay, can you get the band back together right and come back and do it again next year?
Yeah, I think for our grade, part of this is that's so tough is the guys who may not have significant on-field roles, may not be coming back just because their attitude maybe I don't want to come back to sit on the bench. But those guys have been with our senior class since day one, working hard on the scout teams and stuff like that. So, even if we can get a good amount of guys back, it's still going to be tough because our entire senior class has worked really hard to build a culture and of hard work and all that, which culminated in this season going pretty well. Not that we were guaranteed a championship or anything, but it was looking really good. And, that was the toughest part about the news was to have to say goodbye to at least a few of those guys. So that was really hard for us. So credit to those guys.
Yeah, Drake, it was, 4 weeks ago this week now where it all started really ramping up. I mean, this story had been building for a few weeks, but I don't think any of us saw it going as far as it did, as fast as it did. And I last saw some of you guys the Tuesday of that week at practice. On the Wednesday, we find out, okay, that Rutgers game, which was supposed to be that Saturday, would be played in front of no fans. And that lasted, 24 hours. And then the next afternoon, all of a sudden, everything it has been canceled. What was that few days like for you guys to go through that process?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, I was keeping up pretty well with it. I saw a lot of stuff that Monday night, just about where the coronavirus was heading. I was doing a lot of research, probably too much research, got me really anxious. But I think myself and then some of my teammates, some of the seniors, we were all sitting at home and we were watching the TV. The Ivy League got canceled that Wednesday night.
Right.
And then as soon as we saw the NBA was suspended, we all looked around and we were like, okay, whatever gets said, whatever comes out in the night, like there's no way that we're playing the rest of the season, unfortunately. So we sort of came to terms with it early. It wasn't a shock like when the ACC announced it, I think the Thursday or the Friday. we all knew it was coming because, we were joking around. Like, if they're canceling LeBron, there's probably a good shot that we're not going to play out our season. So, but it was pretty tough. But at least, like, I don't know. It was nice because we had a couple days to come to terms with it, and we really did make the most of that last practice.
And I'd say that would be different too, right? If this had been, well, I mean, it stinks one way or the other, but if you guys had been sitting there after practice one day and Coach Desco walked in and just told you all to go home with no warning, it gave you some mental buildup, right? Where it doesn't make it any better, but at least it has a chance, maybe, so you have a chance to sort through it a little bit mentally.
Yeah, I mean, if it got randomly thrown at us one day, it would have absolutely, broken me. But yeah, thankfully, I guess, in a way, we were sort of coming to terms with it for a while. And then the last practice we went through, it was a normal practice. We were preparing like any other day, but I think a lot of us really tried to take it in because us seniors, I mean, we all thought that was our last practice ever in a Syracuse uniform. So we definitely made the most of it, and it was a fun one for sure.
That's kind of an interesting side of things. I hadn't even thought of that. I mean, what's that like? You're on the field, and because you didn't know, I mean, there hadn't been any talk. I mean, things hadn't been canceled yet, so there hadn't been any talk of if you guys could get another year. That was a step for another day and another time. That, I mean, you're legit on the field where nobody's watching you, and it could have been the last time for you.
Yeah, I mean, Andrew Helmer, I think on the last play we were just doing like scout rides versus clears, and he ran down with his long pole and ripped a goal on Harrison Thompson, and he was like, "Oh, this could be my last time ever, in a Syracuse uniform. Like, I'm finishing this practice with a goal. I don't care what anyone says to me." But yeah, it was an interesting vibe. I think there were a couple tears here and there, but it was more just taking everything in and being thankful. Because to be honest with you, I didn't think there was any way we were getting a year. I was mentally prepared for them to just tell us to move on. So when I got the news a couple days later, I was shocked, and I had a few happy tears at that point.
Yeah, I mean, there's really no reason you should have expected it, I guess, because I mean, there's so many things that go into it with roster sizes, scholarship money. Legitimately, what you said, you need to be in school. You need a school to be in, which for you will be a new grad school the next year. There's a lot, I think, of logistics, right, Drake, that people don't really know when you hope to be just sitting at home on your couch watching these games.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much that goes into it, and that was sort of what I was thinking is, do they want to? It may be the right thing to do, but do they want to deal with this headache? And and another thing I just want to like throw out there too is, people have been criticizing guys just like, oh, like they're expecting another year. I don't think any seniors were really expecting it or anything like that. We're not entitled to it or anything. We just really, I mean, obviously we were hopeful that we would get it, and when we did, we were really happy, but I think either way that they made the decision, I don't think anyone would have been up in arms complaining about it. But it definitely made us happy, that's for sure.
How are you staying active right now? I mean, you can't go out and really have a catch with anybody, I guess. But what are you doing to stay in some semblance of lacrosse shape right now?
My girlfriend actually was a defender here at Syracuse last year. She graduated, but she's still got her stick. So we've been throwing around a bit. And just going for runs and body weight workouts. I probably lost a little bit of muscle mass, but I don't think it's too important for a goaltender position anyways, because I haven't had any weights. But I've been trying to stay active and do what I can.
I'd be remiss not to congratulate you too. Inside Lacrosse came out with their All-American team. I think it was about a week ago, and you were named second team All-American. So not a full season, but if that had been the way you went out, that would have been a pretty cool honor to have.
Yeah, my dad joked with me. He was like, it was a hell of a senior year, even if it's cut short and you don't get to play again. You guys ended on a high note, so you can at least look at it like that. And I thought that was a pretty good point. I think our whole team, you look at, I think we had 9 guys on the All-American list, which is a testament to how well we were playing and how well we were working together. So, I mean, like I said, if that was it, I think it would have been a good way to go out. Not the perfect way, but I think it could have been a lot worse. I'll say that.
All right, Drake, before we let you go, you mentioned your dad. How are your parents, how are your family doing in a different country right now? How are things with them up in Canada at the moment?
Yeah, my parents actually just finished up their mandatory quarantine, which was 14 days after they visited me after entering Canada. So, but they're doing well. They're just like sitting around, bored like the rest of us, watching movies. And then my brother's actually in downtown Toronto, and he hasn't been leaving his apartment at all, but he's got his buddy there with him. And, you know, they've been sending me Snapchats. They're having some fun in their apartment, making the most of it. So they're all doing well. Thank you for asking.
All right, Drake. Well, we wish you the best, and glad to find out we'll be seeing you on the field again next year and back in Syracuse and on campus, whenever that may be.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.